you know, I go and make my library all nice for you guys, I rearrange it, and then I drag lots of books back off the shelves, leaving ugly filming gaps behind me to do a tag. Rude. Hi guys, it's Leanne, and today I am going to do the mid-year freakout tag. This is a tag that has been going around Booktube since 2015, and I think it was created by Chami. I might be wrong. I will link the original video down in the description, but it happens mid-July every year. Everybody does the mid-year freakout book tag, and I might actually be at the start of a bandwagon for a change. That would be shocking if it were so. And there are a lot more questions than I remembered, and a lot more books on my desk than I had hoped there would be, so let's just get on with it. So the first question is the best book that you have read so far in 2018, and if any of you saw my last video, which was an absolutely squealing review, then you will already know the answer to this one, but it is Dead Girls by Abigail Tartellin. This is, simply summed up, a female revenge tale told from an 11-year-old girl's point of view in 1999 when she was growing up with pick and mixes, the Spice Girls and girl power, and her very best friend in the whole world is found murdered, and she decides she's going to find out exactly who did it and make sure that they pay for it. It was everything. It was everything. It was everything. The second question is the best sequel that you have read in 2018, and I have read 4 sequels so far this year and one sort of companion to a collection. Rude. Shush! Aye! The one that I decided to pick, the one that sprung immediately to mind, was Gemina by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is the second of the Illuminae files. It's a YA hard sci-fi series, and I absolutely consumed it in March of this year over my holiday week. I lived completely in this world, for this world. I wanted to do nothing except for read these books. I think it is the strongest of the 3, and I love the characters in it to desperation. Question 3 is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to, and I haven't read this one yet only because it literally dropped on my doorstep yesterday, and that is The Mars Room by Rachel Kushner. This was one of my most anticipated releases for the first half of this year, and it follows Romy Hall, who is a woman who is at the start of 2 consecutive life sentences for, I believe, murder, and how she is thrust into this world of this penitentiary that she has no experience with, surrounded by all these women who she would never usually have associated with, and the way in which she is going to become used to this and survive or not. And it's also about her relationship with her son Jackson, who is of course on the outside and who she is cut off from. I am so looking forward to this one. The first page of this one is so compelling. If you get a chance to look at it, I think that you should, because I think you will pick it up immediately. Question 4 is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and I'm sorry, but I can't pick just one. So on the 28th of June, Ruth Ware comes out with her 4th thriller novel, The Death of Mrs. Westaway, which is about a woman who takes the place of a woman who has died very suddenly and kind of inherits her fortune, but also her very scary family. So I am very excited. You know how I feel about Ruth Ware. Then on the 9th of August, Karen Slaughter comes out with another one of her standalone thrillers called Pieces of Her. I want to know nothing about it before I go into it. Please do not spoil the synopsis for me. I am just going to receive it and gobble it up straight away. And then on the 6th of September, a book called The Cause of Death comes out, which is a non-fiction by, and I'm going to have to read this because I've tried it 3 times and I can't get it, Dr. Cynric Temple Camp, and he is a New Zealand forensic pathologist and coroner, and it is about his experiences in that job, and I am very excited for that. Question 5 is the biggest disappointment so far of 2018, and please don't hate me for this one, guys. This book is a recommendation that I got from Rachel from The Shades of Orange and April from Getting Hygge With It, who are 2 women whose recommendations I always jive with, and I was so looking forward to this one when I picked it up, but it just missed the mark for me, and that's I'm Thinking of Ending It by Ian Reid. The writing was very good, and I enjoyed the setting and the sort of impending doom of it all, but I felt like it never really reached any kind of crescendo for me. It got to a point where I was just like, I'm really confused and I don't care, and then when I worked out what was happening, it was the thing that I was worried was going to happen and I didn't like it. And then after I read the ending, I was a little bit confused again and not unsettled in the way that I think the author meant me to be, so this one just wasn't for me. Sorry girls. Question 6 is the biggest surprise of 2018. Unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to be a negative Nora with this one again and say that the biggest surprise that I had was actually disliking another book that I thought that I was really going to love. And that book was I Let You Go by Claire Mackintosh. I own all of Claire Mackintosh's thrillers. There's now 3 of them, and the reason that I own them all is because I was so confident from all of the reviews that I have heard and seen that I was absolutely going to fall in love with her. And I have to say, the writing in this one was great. It definitely, for the most part, kept me turning the pages, and the police procedural parts of this one, because they are very procedural thrillers, were great. I really enjoyed them. I wanted to be with Ray, the lead detective, all the time. But when it came to the other protagonist of the novel, who was the woman who the mystery surrounded, I was bored stiff. I could not have cared less. I literally found myself having to stop myself from skimming sections. I never skim read, and I was so bored. Question 7 is favourite new author, and that's either your favourite debut author or your favourite new to you author. Now, of course, all of my body just wants to say Abigail Tartellin, and I think that is the honest answer to this one, is that she's definitely my favourite new to me author. But so that I don't duplicate any answers, I am going to say Kate Murray Brown, who is the author of The Upstairs Room. This one came out in paperback this year. It was released last year, and this is Kate's first novel, and it is a ghostly tale slash very cynical exploration of a relationship, and I freaking loved it. I consumed this. This was brilliant, and I am dying for her to announce a second novel. Question 8 is your newest fictional crush, and I watch these videos every year and I see people go, oh, I don't really crush on people, I'm a bit old for that, or oh, I don't really think there's any characters that I would crush on out of the novels that I've read. And every year I am sitting there screaming at my laptop going, I have thousands of answers for this question, how can you not pick one? But actually it turns out that I don't have any answers for this question this time around. Question 9 is newest favourite character, and for that one I'm afraid I am going to have to jump back to Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and I am going to say Ella Malikova. Ella. She is a hacker who is extremely disabled, having survived a plague which has left her with almost no ability to function outside of the medical equipment which helps her to breathe. She's lost the use of her legs. All she can do is hack and talk to people through her screens, and she kicks the most ass. She wins all the things. She is the saviour of everything. I love Ella, and I also love her single-minded determination that her goldfish is going to survive to the end of this novel. Question number 10 is book that made you cry. This is Two Boys Kissing by David Levithan, which is this book. This is a YA book about 2 young gay men who decide to try and set the record for the world's longest continuous kiss. It is narrated by a Greek chorus of dead gay men of the AIDS generation, and it's making me dead emotional thinking about it. Every single page in this book every time the Greek chorus was on the page, I felt like I couldn't breathe. This one destroyed me, guys. It absolutely destroyed me. It is such a good book. Question number 11 is thankfully a book that made you happy, and for me that one was a very, very easy pick, and that is Herding Cats by Sarah Anderson, which is the third in her Sarah's Scribbles series of graphic memoirs slash comic way of looking at how her life is falling apart thanks to depression and being 20 something in today's climate. It touched parts of me that I didn't think a comic collection could, and I've since read all three of them again this year, and this time aloud to Helen because they are so good. Rude. Question 12 is a favourite book to film adaptation that you saw this year. And I am stumped for this one, you guys. I do not go to the cinema very often. It's not my thing. I'm too terrified to go see the Guernsey Literary Potato Peel Pie Society because the clips I have seen just are not the characters that exist in my head. I'm really looking forward to the HBO adaptation of Little Women. Sorry guys, this is not the question for me. Question 13 is favourite video that you made this year, and I have to say, for me that has to be my rave review of The Dry and Force of Nature that I did when Force of Nature was published this year. This is a crime series that I am so incredibly passionate about. I love it to pieces. It is Australian fiction. Again, I love Australian fiction to death. I love the tone and the feel of it. It's so very different from anything else that's on the market right now, and I'm obsessed with this series and I want everybody to read them. Question 14 is the most beautiful book that you have bought or received this year, and that one is hard because there have been a lot of beautiful releases out. I think, if I'm perfectly honest, the crown still has to go to Rainbirds by Clarissa Gingowan, because apart from this absolutely beautiful exterior, the actual book itself is this buttery sunshine yellow, and I want to lick it, guys. But I do have a few other favourite aesthetic covers that have come out this year. I really like this one for The Favourite Sister by Jessica Knoll. This is a proof version, but the hardback is now out, and it has this gorgeous design on the front. I think there's also a lot to be said for the paperback release of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And finally, Picador almost always hit the nail on the head when it comes to design, but Ponty by Charlene Teo is just... oh, he's so pretty though, right? Question 15 is what books do you really need to get to by the end of the year? And that is always such a difficult question for me. A short list would be The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is definitely one that I want to read, and also Ponty, as I've mentioned. I am also still reading aloud the Mercy Thompson series To My Lovely Wife Helen, and the next one that we have to go on to is Rivermart, and then we're on to the hardback releases that I have, and they're so beautiful and I can't wait to introduce her to more of this story. Also, I received a book really recently for review that I requested, and that is The Apartment by S.L. Gray, and this one is a thriller slash horror about an apartment, and I need to read this immediately because after The Upstairs Room I am definitely in the mood for something else that's going to creep me out of my skin. And oh, that was the last question. I thought that there were more for some reason. So this goes viral, like I said, on Booktube every year, but I'ma tag people anyway because I'ma want to see these people's videos. Mostly because when I was thinking, where are these tags? These are the channels that I went to and checked that hadn't already done it, because these are the people I wanted to see most. So I want to see Rachel from The Shades of Orange, I want to see April from Getting Hooga With It, I want to see Leanne from Leanne Rose, and I want to see Emma from Reading by My Shelves. Go forth, girls, and make your usual amazing content so that I can curl up with a cup of tea after filming all day and watch them all. I shall speak to you guys later. Bye!